So the next game, and the last news segment for the day is, well, for the night, I should say,
Thank
one
you
of
for that.
my favorite games I played last year, Cosmic Horror Souls-like Hellpoint, is actually getting a proper next gen update for PS5 and Xbox Series X, alongside a
Excellent.
new DLC. Now the DLC was actually announced before, which I didn't know. I'm like, oh, it's a brand new announcement. That was announced back in August, but what they announced this week is that it's coming alongside the next gen update on July the 12th. So Hellpoint came out in 2020. It's from Cradle Games and published by TinyBuild. And the update will feature 4K resolution, 60 frames a second, and faster loading times. Now, interestingly, when I played Hellpoint on the Series X, there was an option that I could untick in the menu that basically gave me 60 frames a second anyway, but there weren't any other kind of visual improvements from, it being on the next generation console or anything. But I'm looking forward to having a reason to play through this game again. This Hellpoint really, really surprised me. I think it's a game that when you first start it and you play through the first area or two, I think it really undersells the what's special about this game. As I said, it is a Souls-like, but it's got its own really cool, unique mechanics. I think that I don't. If they may have updated it recently, I'm not sure, but I think it definitely still needed a bit of work in terms of just making the UI a bit more readable and user friendly. And that's things, they are adding some quality of life options with this update as well. So they're going to be adding in inventory management, which is, I think, really, really good. You want that kind of stuff in a game where you can have different armor sets and weapons and upgrading materials and things like that. And they're also going to add the ability to respec, which I think is, honestly, at this point, look, we all love Dark Souls 1, but that's a mechanic I don't think you can ever go back on in that kind of genre. You need the ability to
Agreed.
respec in a Souls-like, especially when these games are built around the idea of being obtuse and not knowing
Yeah.
exactly what attributes are going to allow you to use what weapons and abilities as you go through the games. So
Imagine if Elden Ring didn't have respecking with all the sort of vigor issues that people were having, right?
oh my god,
And the amount of like
Just the
runes you need to
length and
get,
everything.
people would
Yeah.
have lost the plot. Like, absolutely.
So
So,
the new DLC, which is called Blue Sun, will obviously have new areas, new weapons. So I don't know how big it's going to be. The areas in Hellpoint are pretty sizable, so hopefully it's a pretty substantial DLC. But I really, really recommend Hellpoint to anyone that loves Dark Souls. As I said, like, just give it a bit. I think it's a game you really have to kind of get a little bit into before it starts to show what's special about it.
I will
So.
definitely grab this. Well, I mean, I have a copy from when it was free, I think, on Epic, if I'm not
oh,
mistaken.
was it? Okay.
Basically, when it came out or something, it was free, and if I remember correctly, and I had the Switch version. It's the only game that I actually ended up asking for a refund. It just didn't. It just played really badly on the
Yeah.
Switch. It was disappointing. So I'll buy it if I don't already own a copy on Xbox for sure. That
I
sounds
re-
really cool.
I reckon Swinny would make so much money as a video game consultant. Like, in terms of like, not like QA, that's the wrong way to think of it, but almost like, the game is like 6 months to 3 months out from publishing. It's like, all right, go through it, analytically judge the first, 3 hours of the game, how it hangs together, what's missing, all that stuff. And because you're such a good writer as well, I feel like you could make like a fortune doing that shit.
Yeah, thank you. That's a compliment.
It's
Yeah,
unlikely to give a compliment. That's why you're shook.
one thing I will warn people about Hellpoint, it is a little buggy. So it's a small developer, so I think it's the kind of game where you kind of need to ride with it a little bit.
Is this
But
Eurojank?
I don't know where Cradle Games are based, but before we wrap up the
find out.
segment, I just wanted to say that there is actually a very similar game that came out this week called Dolmen. That is
Oh.
also a cosmic horror
miss this one?
Souls-like. No, there's no.
Oh, okay.
The B-roll. I just wanted to mention, but it's a game that I just randomly saw it on a YouTube channel that I'm subscribed to, and I'm like, I didn't even know this game was coming out this week. And it looks all right. It's from a Brazilian studio called Massive Work Studio. So Dolmen, I don't know if it's gonna. I'm gonna wait till reviews start pouring in because it's like a $60 game. Otherwise,
Oh
I'll
wow,
have to
damn.
pick it up.
It
So.
looks. I saw a whole bunch of gameplay footage and stuff like that, and it looks really interesting. I think it's definitely something I'll play. It feels polished, but not at the same time. It's hard to describe. It kind of like Hellpoint. It's got the same sort of feeling as Hellpoint, where you go, it's clearly not a AAA title, but it still looks really cool. Oh, by the way, I think the Cradle Games dudes were you looking that up as well into
Quebec.
from Canada.
Quebec.
Canadian. I think you can be Eurojank in your heart.
Yeah.
I don't think you need to be from Europe.
Maybe the developers were originally from Europe. There you go.
could be honorary Eurojank.
Yeah, Eurojank.
Let's reach out to these guys and ask them where did you guys originally come from?
Do you consider yourself Eurojank?
They look kind of European.
They're probably watching and going, "Oh, look at this guy! He's talking about our game," and then we go, "Oh, this is Eurojank."
Hey, and I like the term Eurojank. To me, is not a negative term.
So it's a term of endearment.
It is a term of endearment, no joke. So I just talked about Greedfall. How much I love that.
I know it's true. You got through the Swinny segments.